Junkyard Joe, issue number 5 from Image Comics. Seems like I'm reading a lot of Image Comics stuff. So this is part of the Unnamed universe, which started with a miniseries called Geiger. And first off, I want to thank, I hope I pronounce your name correctly, Verlicifiant Satire. They're the ones who introduced me to the Unnamed universe, Geiger and Junkyard Joe. So I went and actually checked out Geiger. I read the entire thing. It's awesome. It reminds me a lot of like the Fallout series. So if you like Fallout, Mad Max, it kind of has a little bit of that. It's a great series. But in that, we get mentions of Junkyard Joe. So Junkyard Joe started off as this Sunday comic strip, like in the newspapers. And it was created by this character named Muddy. And Muddy actually ends up dying, or at least we hear news reports of Muddy's death before the nuclear bombs dropped and, Geiger enters the Fallout world. And later on, Geiger ends up fighting this robot creature named Junkyard Joe. And so I guess eventually Junkyard Joe has its own spin-off. So this is, we get to see Junkyard Joe, like what happened with him before the nuclear bombs dropped. So just to kind of recap what's been going on, we start off during the Vietnam War, where we see this human assigned to this platoon. And one of the characters there is Muddy. And character doesn't speak. He acts very emotionless, and there's one point in time where they get ambushed, and one of the Viet Cong soldiers throws a grenade at them, and the character jumps on it and takes the blast and saves the platoon. But he turns out to be just fine, and it's revealed that he's a robot. The blast burned off his fake human skin, and we can see the robot underneath, and his name is Junkyard Joe. And Junkyard Joe, at first all the platoon members are kind of freaked out, but they eventually realize hey, this guy saved our life. He's done nothing to try to harm us. He's one of us. And so they befriend him, and he befriends them back in the way that a robot can befriend a human. Until eventually the platoon gets ambushed, and everybody dies except for Muddy. Muddy's the only reason he survives is because Junkyard Joe is able to save him. Muddy is hospitalized, and he starts asking if Joe's okay, and everyone's like, what are you talking about? And eventually, over time, he starts believing that Junkyard Joe never existed. And to just kind of help him with his troubles of, his PTSD and all that, he created this comic book strip called Junkyard Joe. Until eventually, we cut to the present time, where Muddy is growing up. He's super old now. His wife has recently passed away. He has new neighbors moving in across the street who are going to play a big part in this series. And he has retired Junkyard Joe. He's finished his last strip. He's not going to do it anymore because his wife was the one that really helped him with the strip. She's the one that he would tell stories to her, and she would help him. And now that she's no longer there, he feels like it's just kind of hollow. And that's when Junkyard Joe arrives. And of course, Muddy freaks out because he thought it was all in his head, but now he realizes that it's not. And he's trying to figure out what's wrong with Junkyard Joe. Junkyard Joe seems to be suffering from PTSD from the war, so he's kind of showing some human-like qualities. And Junkyard Joe came to find Muddy because that's the only tie left that he has to his past. And eventually, the neighbors, it's a single father named Sam, and he has 3 kids, Grace, Emily, and Will. And Grace, Emily, and Will discover Junkyard Joe's existence, but they try to keep it under wraps for Muddy. They don't want, everyone to know about it. And Muddy is trying to find out where Junkyard Joe came from. And he goes into the city to find, there's dog tags on Junkyard Joe, but rather than the name or anything like that, it just has this weird symbol that he's never seen before. But he has someone who might be able to help him. So he goes into the city with Junkyard Joe, Junkyard Joe's wearing disguise, to try to see if his buddy will have any idea on this symbol. Meanwhile, there are these other characters who are trying to track down Junkyard Joe, and they're killing anyone that comes across Junkyard Joe. So they're evil, and they're human. And in the last issue, the cliffhanger we had was Grace, Emily, and Will showing up to Muddy's house, and the villains are there waiting for them. And he's like, "It seems like you've heard of Junkyard Joe. Where is he?" And then we cut to Muddy and Junkyard Joe, and he's at the VA center, and he's talking to his friend, and he reveals Junkyard Joe, and his friends kind of freaked out at first, like, wow, like Junkyard Joe actually exists. Like, we had no idea. He's like, I have a friend who works in Arlington. He might be able to figure this out. He works security at the Penford Credit Union, but he knows a lot of the folks at the intelligence agency at the Pentagon. So maybe I can try to see if any of them have any idea what this symbol means. Muddy's going back to the house with Joe when he arrives and he sees the kids being held hostage by this villain. And as soon as Junkyard Joe sees the gun, he goes ballistic and he starts fighting off the villains. He beats them up, knocks them out, breaks all the weapons. Muddy tells the kids, run, get Joe out of here. I'm going to call the police. You got to get out of here now. So they rush out with Joe. And as Muddy's calling the police, he gets hit from behind by one of the villains who knocks him out. And eventually Sam comes into the house and he sees Muddy and he calls the ambulance. And we cut to the kids with Joe out in the woods. And they're trying to figure out what they're going to do. And Emily's like, well, Muddy, Mr. Davis, he said he was talking to someone at the vet center in town. Maybe we can go there and see if he knows anything. Maybe Joe knows the way there. And Joe comes across this deer that's just been shot by these hunters. And as soon as he sees the guns, he freaks out and he attacks them. He basically has flashbacks to the ambush that killed everyone except for him and Muddy. And the hunters run away, and Joe is all sad. And they realize that Joe is having PTSD issues. But they need to leave because they have no idea, like, if the villains are on their trail. They got to get out of there and they got to find some help. And there's a little bit more, especially a really cool cliffhanger. But I don't want to spoil it because I highly recommend checking it out. This series has been really, really good so far. Like, I've loved it. Not only do I recommend checking out Junkyard Joe, I also recommend checking out Geiger. Geiger is 6 issues, so it's just a short little mini-series. But it was freaking amazing. It was awesome. Like, just the artwork, the story, the characters, everything about it was great. Even the world building with the universe was really, really cool. There's also a giant Geiger one-shot, which is basically just an anthology of a bunch of other characters living in this universe. So if you want more world building, you can read that as well. And then, of course, we got Junkyard Joe. I think there might be another one. It's all part of the Unnamed universe. But it's been great. So once again, I want to thank Versifiant Satire for recommending this series. It's awesome. And yeah, go check it out. Like I said, the artwork is great. The story is great. The characters is great. Just the little setups and the mysteries, like, where did Joe come from? Who are these people? Why do they want him back? What happened in his past? Like, all these things are just, I'm really interested to see where they go. So yeah, go check it out. And if you got any recommendations for stuff, let me know. I'm always down to check out new series. Like I said, this was a recommendation and I absolutely love it. So if you got any more, anyone watching this, if you got any recommendations for stuff I should probably check out, just let me know. But there you go. Junkyard Joe, issue number 5. It was awesome. Go check it out. Hope you enjoyed. Hope to see you next time. Take care. Later. So what did you guys think of that video? I hope you guys enjoyed. If you guys haven't already, please subscribe, hit that bell for a notification, leave a like if you enjoyed the video. And if you didn't enjoy the video, thank you for watching it this far, and I hope the next video is more to your liking. Feel free to check out the playlist that you guys see, and I hope to see you guys next time. Later.